You know, we've spent several months speaking once a month with the underlying notion that you have an effect on the way the budget comes together in the state and in your county and in your city. And one of our partners in bringing those conversations to the air has been Linda Teeter with Michigan Citizen Action. And today we join Linda and get a recap on what we've been saying and try to leave you with some parting thoughts as a result of those discussions. Linda, good morning to you.
Good morning, Richard.
Thank you for the time today, and I'm glad you stayed off the roads.
Well, thank you. I like being in your studio with you, but decided that I think we together decided that I would be in my office and call and talking to you.
Yeah, why not? So let's start at the beginning again. Remind us why we did this. Why did we talk for several months about municipal budgets?
Well, because it impacts our daily lives, whether it's the city budget, the county budget, the state budget, the federal budget. It really has an impact on all of our daily lives. And we, individually and collectively, can make a difference in communicating with our elected officials about what we believe are the priorities and how our dollars should be allocated through the budget process.
Do people do that? Do they speak up?
Oh, absolutely. And I was just thinking of my time when I worked in the legislature and as a city commissioner that if I heard from one person, then a sort of a drumbeat of 5, 10 calls or letters, I think legislators and elected officials are going to pay attention to that.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, that an individual call or letter might carry some weight. But if there's others that echo the same notion, then you start to say, something's going on here.
Absolutely. And so that's why it's important. Local, either Battle Creek or Kalamazoo or all the surrounding townships and cities, we all have the opportunity to, on a weekly, biweekly, a monthly basis, to attend the meetings and to speak either prearranged or during citizens' time. At the state level, there are committee hearings that you can attend. You can also see those on Michigan House TV or Michigan Senate TV, and then communicate with your elected officials on a federal level as well. And most all of these elected officials have opportunities, either town hall meetings or coffees, that you can either individually or collectively attend and speak out.
Linda Teeter's with us from Michigan Citizen Action. We're sort of driving home the final points after a few months of interviews with a number of folks who have brought perspective about the budget, and all of them have said your input matters. We'll come back in just a short minute on 95.3 WBCK Monday. We're talking with Linda Teeter from Michigan Citizen Action. The recap on several months of discussions, which, by the way, you can find all of them at 95.3 WBCK.com. Just click my picture, and you can go through there. In fact, a lot of the show's interactions are there from past shows, and so if you want something that you heard, might check there and see if you see it. Have a chance to click on it and listen. We even talked with the budget director of the state of Michigan as part of that, John Roberts, and a number of others who have perspective on the way this comes together. Linda, do most people think, they're not going to listen to me, why should I bother?
That may be the case, but there's also the person or persons who say it does make a difference, and we are one of those groups that say to not only our members but to your listening audience, it does make a difference. And I think, Richard, we heard that from Budget Director John Roberts, from former members of Congress Joe Schwartz and Mark Schauer, and City Manager for Battle Creek, Rebecca Fleury, that it does make a difference, and that they're always looking for that input from the public.
And when we do that, I think one of the underlying notions, we certainly heard it from Schwartz and Schauer, and you might have alluded to it too. You've got to be thought out and well reasoned in what you're talking about, because that helps gain traction.
Well, that's true, and to learn about the budget process, you can go to michigan.gov/budget. There's a whole, not only the current budget and executive summary, but the budget process, and what is it that either you or a group of people are attempting to communicate with the elected member? What are the priorities? We started this in a conversation about how the budget and the revenue sharing, the reduction has impacted local communities, and I think we heard that from the city manager. We heard it from former member of Congress Joe Schwartz and Mike Schauer about the need for investment in public goods. Mm-hmm. And so, it's sort of daunting when you first look at it, but I think as we talked over the months about being able to break it down and to be able to, there are staff members who can help with, what is it that you're trying to communicate, and staff members who have an expertise in that information gets to that elected official.
You also have made the point, and let's make it again, that some of our officials right here are very connected to the budget process in Michigan. Dr. John Bison, our current representative, also part of Calhoun County, is represented by Dave Maturin. Kalamazoo Representative John Hoadley. They're all very connected to that, aren't they?
They are, and and Senator Knopf and his staff, and they're all connected that. And so this corner of Southwest Michigan has several elected members who are part of the appropriations process, and right now is the perfect time to be engaged because the budget has been introduced, and meetings of the appropriations committee and subcommittee are meeting very frequently as they work through that budget process. And those meetings are open to the public. The elected member's office, if you're in Lansing, drop in. If they have coffee hours, drop in to talk to them about that process.
And if you're a person who works during the day or at night and you find it difficult to attend those, still communication in some of the other ways, phone, email, etc., is acceptable and does get attention. Is that true?
That's very true. And, I'd say that, the Battle Creek City Commission, the Kalamazoo City Commission, the township meetings are held at night. And so those are open and available for people to attend. They often have Saturday coffee time, so it makes it convenient for people. But, again, to talk about those priorities in the budget that make a difference in communities, that being looking at revenue sharing, looking at public education, looking at infrastructure and those investments. So there are so many avenues by which we can have that communication. And most often you find that with just an open reception by elected officials who want to hear from the public.
We're talking with Linda Teeter from Michigan Citizen Action. Linda Teeter with Michigan Citizen Action with us as we wrap up several months of chatting with folks who are close to the budget process in the state or have been, or even federally. And all of them have come back with the same notion that you can affect the way things go. And as Linda pointed out, the budget process is underway now. So if you were to, say, reach out to Representative Dr. John Bison's office or Representative Dave Maturin they should not only be receptive, but their mind is on this right now. So if you have a particular concern, you can direct their attention to that by simply getting involved. You talked about those coffees, Linda, and I think I just saw a couple of days ago Representative Hoadley in Kalamazoo had a coffee, and he was posting on social media saying, "I'm here, come and come and talk to me." And I've seen the others do that too. We're not kidding. They get a cup of coffee and sit down and wait for you to show up.
Absolutely, and I would say do that. Take the time. We all have busy lives. However, this makes a difference. The budget does in the quality of our life and how we together enjoy and work, recreate in our not only our own blocks and our neighborhoods, but in our communities, in our state, in the United States. And I would say that attend those coffees, start locally, talk to your local elected officials. They are also talking to state legislators. We heard that from the city manager, Rebecca Fleury, and she's also part of the Michigan Municipal League, who's talking to elected officials about what they're hearing, across not only regions but the state. So, if starting at the state level seems a little daunting, start local.
Okay.
I think it's always important.
And as we pointed out, the discussions are happening now about the budget. What do you think, looking at it now, is going to be the real challenge here as this comes together?
The state budget or your local budget?
Well, I guess we'd start at the state.
Yeah. I think there's discussion about, the income tax. I heard this morning about tax credits. I think the bigger is what are the priorities? How does this legislature see the priority of investing in communities, in education and infrastructure? I think those are the things that we all should weigh in on as we're moving forward. The city budget is moving forward too at the same time. So what the state determines impacts the city budget, not only Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, the townships. So I think those are things that can be weighed in on right now.
Right, and that whole revenue sharing discussion is one in which you very often hear municipal leaders say, well, the state has cut that, but we keep squawking about getting that back. I presume that a constituent, that is to say a voter, a resident who reaches out to Dr. Bison or Representative Maturin and says, come on, revenue sharing is important, then that could have an effect.
Absolutely. And, we heard your city manager of Battle Creek talk about the dollars, the millions of dollars that the city did not receive in revenue sharing that impacts the quality of life. And what that means in local communities is how public safety dollars, because those are general fund, police and fire protection, local roads, parks and recreation, those things that make a difference in our daily lives. So I think that, again, can't say enough about the impact of making voices heard and working together to have talk about those priorities.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Linda, we'll stay in touch. We appreciate all the help you've given us and the opportunities you've given us to bring these folks to the radio and connect with listeners who need to hear these things. So thank you. If you want to learn more about Michigan Citizen Action, just type it into a search box on your favorite web search engine, and you'll find their website and details about what they're all about. And you can reach out to Linda there, too, if you want to. Linda Teeter, Michigan Citizen Action.